Hello, my name is Dr. Matthew Mingle, Superintendent of Schools in Warren Township. This presentation is an overview of a plan to reimagine the elementary special schedules in our elementary schools. As a starting point, it's important to remember the mission of the Warren Township School District is to provide, through a safe, nurturing, yet challenging environment, all students with an outstanding education that engages students and fosters academic excellence, healthy social and emotional development, and a lifelong passion for learning. The plan shared in this presentation is aimed at increasing our ability to meet that mission. I'll talk briefly about the background of this discussion, the guiding principles that we used as we considered different options, the work that was completed, what we found, what we're recommending, and where things will go next. There are two goals being discussed related to the schedules in our K-8 schools. This presentation focuses on goal 3B, which is to determine a reimagined elementary special schedule. There's another presentation that you can also find on our website related to determining whether to implement a recommended middle school schedule change. Since 2010, the focus in education in Warren Township and elsewhere has been on implementing new literacy, math, and science standards and preparing students to be assessed on those standards through the PARCC assessments. This has been an appropriate shift, one that was necessary, and one that we've handled very well. However, less attention has been paid in that same time period to what really makes a well-rounded educational experience for kids: the arts, information literacy, world languages, and STEM. Last year, in 2015-16, the Warren Township Board of Education studied the enrollment decline that is being experienced in the community. Since 2010-11, we have seen the number of students in the district's schools decrease by 19%, and we anticipate a further decrease by around 7% over the next 3 years. Yet during that same period of time, we have not seen much change in our overall staffing levels in areas like art, music, world language, and so on. And we are concerned that we need to shift to react to this new reality in a way that allows us to take control and expand opportunities for kids, even while perhaps dealing with some reductions in staff. A recommendation was made last year not to close an elementary school with the enrollment decline in mind, but several items were identified, including the one I'm presenting here in this presentation, for the administration to look at operational changes that may be necessary. As we went through this work as a leadership team, we wanted to make sure that we maintained our focus on a whole child approach to education. We wanted to make sure that we were evaluating a student level experience. What is it like for a child moving through the school system from kindergarten through 8th grade, so that we could maintain or even expand the options that those students have in our schools. We want to make sure that we were addressing the efficiency of our schedule and make sure that staff members who are trained in something are working in that thing for as much of the day as possible, as opposed to filling other kinds of tasks that may not be as crucial to a student's success. And finally, we need to recommend adjustments that reflect the reality that we have 20% fewer students today than we did just 6 or 7 years ago. The committee has met over 15 times. This has been going on for several months to review current and previous scheduling models and where our staffing is. We've examined 3, 4, 5, and 6 day rotation options, and we've compared models that share specialist staff members across schools versus models that use part-time specialists. So for example, if we know that we only need a music teacher 3 days a week to meet the needs of all the students in one of our elementary schools, is it better to share a full-time staff member between 2 schools, or is it better to have a part-time music teacher in each school? We identified the pros and cons of each of these options against our near-term enrollment projections and our long-term enrollment projections, because we want to make sure that any changes we make can be sustained over the long term, and that even if the enrollment starts going back up sometime down the road, we don't have to then redo the entire scheduling system. As I mentioned, we developed guiding principles to assist us in evaluating these options so that we knew that we were being true to what we believed in. We found that we have to think about programs K-8. It may be that some programs have a decrease in the amount of time at the elementary school and an increase at the middle school, or vice versa. We found very quickly that part-time specialists would not be an ideal situation for our district. Talented staff members would leave the district to find full-time employment elsewhere, and we would not have program consistency. Instead, we are recommending, in some cases, sharing staff members across multiple buildings. We also found that the 3 and 4 day models didn't adequately maximize the efficiency of our schedules. They created some new problems. And the 5-day model, although it addressed our efficiency issue, it did give us some decreased flexibility on our overall master scheduling. And if we needed to increase our enrollment in the future, or if our enrollment did increase in the future, a 5-day schedule wouldn't allow us to expand with that as much. One of the things that we knew we wanted to do in these adjustments was increase the amount of time our elementary school students have being physically active. And increasing physical education time is easiest in a 6-day schedule rotation. We also decided that Spanish instruction, which should be maintained at the elementary school, should be thought about outside of the regular rotation that we think about with art and music and so on, for some reasons I'll describe in just a second. We made a subtle yet significant shift in our philosophy about how we assign staff. Staffing decisions should be directly tied to the program's needs, not adjusting the program to meet our existing staffing. Right now, we have situations where a smaller school may see enrichment experiences because a music teacher, for example, has extra time in his or her schedule that another school doesn't get to experience. And we wanted to make sure that whatever we believe the best program is experienced by all students, no matter which school they are in. So we are recommending the implementation of a 6-day schedule that is not tied to a particular day of the week. Right now, students who have whatever special they have on Monday meets about 5 or 6 times less than whatever specials they have on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, just by nature of the number of Mondays we have off for holidays and breaks. On the bottom of the screen, you can see the 6 cycles that we're suggesting for the elementary school: 3 periods of physical education, 1 of art, 1 of music, and 1 of a combination of information skills, library skills, innovation and design, sometimes known as STEM or engineering, and technology. All of the cycles that I just mentioned would be provided in 50-minute periods, which is pretty much in line with how they are now, with a couple of exceptions. This represents, in some cases, a doubling, in other grades, a tripling of the amount of physical education time, which we thought was very, very important. The information skills, library skills, I&D, and technology would occur perhaps as a quarterly cycle, as in 1 marking period. We don't tend to think of that type of schedule at the elementary school all the time. It may not exactly be even. We're still working out the details of exactly how that will occur. Right now, we do share that time already, where sometimes students go to a computer class, other times they go to I&D in the same period. So that is similar to what we do right now. And I also wanted to point out that although we're calling library skills one of those rotations, students will be going to the library regularly throughout the year for book exchange and other experiences, even though the library skills instruction may take place at a given time. As I mentioned earlier, Spanish instruction will be scheduled outside of this rotating cycle. And that's because we want to get away from infrequent long periods of Spanish class and to frequent shorter periods. This is part of a much larger shift in philosophy about how we teach world language. We want our students to be speaking in their target language 90% or more of the time that they are in class. And to do that, we want them in conversation frequently. So in grade 2, where we will introduce Spanish, which is a change from grade 1, students will have it twice every 6 days, and in grades 3 through 5, 3 times. The total number of minutes is not different from what it is now, but it's being delivered in a different way so that students have a frequent reminder and practice. We will be establishing clear benchmarks for what students should be able to do in Spanish by the end of 5th grade and then again by the end of 8th grade, so that our students are on a pathway to take the most challenging classes offered by the high school. And very importantly, this change will allow us to return recess to the kids as unstructured free play, which we believe is very important. Right now, because we don't meet the state requirement for the number of minutes of PE, recess is sometimes structured where kids might pick specific activities so that they can meet the requirement for physical activity. Now, because we are covering that in our regular school program, recess can be unstructured. We will have some shared specialist members in this model. We are going to, when possible, assign them to the same schools for continuity and culture. And we also will have some staff members available who will allow us to expand programs at the middle school. There will be some shuffling of staff across buildings where people who right now might be assigned to one school may be assigned to a different school in the future. Some people at the middle school may go to the elementary and vice versa. While this is common in many other districts, this is a change for Warren, and we understand that there will be some challenges that we face as we go through the process. There will be immediate and medium-term needs for curriculum revision in these areas, and there may be some necessary stipends to support additional enrichment that is currently being done by teachers because they have time available in their schedules. We may need to provide that after school, before school, or in other opportunities. For all of these adjustments, we are looking to national benchmarks for how we evaluate whether we are being successful. For example, the state of New Jersey has a model world language program. It is our expectation that Warren Township will be recognized as a model program not too far into the future. And we are making these adjustments based on the criteria it will take to get that recognition. In year 2, so this is a multi-year phase-in process. In year 2, 2018-19, we expect to make additional adjustments based on how well and things go and what we learn in year 1. Some districts have what's called a what I need or win period, where students get support or enrichment during the school day on a regular basis, which helps decrease the amount of time students are pulled out of other classes for different programs. We would like to look at implementing that in our elementary schools in 2018-19. We will need to continue to adjust our curriculum and look at enrichment opportunities, and we will continue to need to make staffing adjustments to meet the needs of our programs and to reflect enrollment as it continues to evolve. Hopefully this has been a helpful presentation of the overview information. Obviously there's quite a bit more work to be done, but we're very excited about the positive opportunities that will be presented to our students as we move through these transitions. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.